everyone, welcome back to I Miss My Cheeseburger. Today we are talking about the $1,000,000 question of where to get your protein. So it is the most asked question for vegans, and if you're thinking about going vegan, it's probably the first thing that you think of is, where am I going to get my protein? So we're going to dig into it today, and we're going to find out what protein is, how much you need, and where does it come from. So let's get started. So one of the things I want to say before I start is that I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, definitely not a scientist. So all of the things that we're going to be talking about today are just, it's just research that I did for myself. All right, so protein is actually something called a macronutrient, and a macronutrient is just something that your body needs in large quantities in order to function. So there are actually 7 of them: carbohydrates, fat, protein, water, minerals, vitamins, and fiber. And of those, protein is sort of considered to be like the most important because it's involved in every process that your body does. So things like building and maintaining muscle, it's involved even on a cellular level, dividing cells, your immune system, your skin, your hair, your nails, all of those things. So when you look a little closer at protein, you'll see that it's made up of amino acids. So amino acids are just these things that make up a protein. And they're the things that go off and do all of the jobs of a protein, like your hair and your nails and your muscle and all of those kinds of things. So this is actually a peptide. So the string is the peptide, and these are all of your amino acids on this string. So this is how protein enters your body, on this string like this. And once it gets in your system, these all break apart, and let's just imagine that like all these little green ones are going to go and work on your hair. These purple ones are going to help you build muscle. These orange ones are going to help you maintain muscle, and so on and so on. So there are 20 amino acids that your body needs. 11 of them your body makes on its own, and you don't need to worry about those. 9 of them you need, and you can only get them through food, and you need them every day. So now that we have a little bit of an idea of what a protein is and how it enters your body and the amino acids and what they do, the second question that we need to know is, how much protein does a person need? There seems to be just a little bit of confusion about this, and I think the confusion comes from the fact that it isn't a one size fits all, that every person needs, 35 grams of protein, or everybody needs X amount. There are a number of factors that fit into this. So whether you're male or female, male typically need more protein than women because they have more muscle mass than we do, and so they need to maintain that. It has to do with your activity level. If you're an athlete, if you have a desk job and you're kind of sedentary, and your age weighs into that as well. So there's 4 different things that kind of factor into how much protein you need, but there is this really cool equation that you can use to help figure out how much you need personally. So what you do is you take your body weight, so however much you weigh, and you times that times 0.36. And that will give you how many grams of protein that you need a day. So one thing that I want to point out is that when we're talking about protein, I think a lot of us are used to ounces, like how many ounces of fish, how many ounces of, et cetera, et cetera. So this is in grams, which you can then convert into ounces if that makes more sense to you. All right, so again, that equation is your weight times 0.36. Now, another thing that you can do is, if you are wanting to lose weight, you can actually take your goal weight and do that times 0.36, and that will give you enough protein that you need to reach that goal weight. And so for me personally, I'm looking at around 40 grams of protein a day, which this was something that kind of surprised me. So 40 grams is about 1.5 ounces of protein. Not very much. When you think about the fact that, we're told that you need, 6 ounces of, your protein at your, for your meals. So I want to mention that because protein is done in grams, it's a little bit confusing. So for me, if I'm shooting for 40 grams, that's only 1.5 ounces of protein a day. So I think it's safe to say that we are all more than getting enough protein that we need. So, all right, so now that we know what protein is and how much we need, now we can start talking about where does this protein come from. So there is something called a complete protein and an incomplete protein. And a complete protein means that it has all 9 amino acids in the one food. So we'll take chicken, for example. Chicken has all 9 amino acids in it. So I know what you're thinking. It's like, ha, see, meat is like superior to any other protein. Well, not so fast, because you also have fat and cholesterol in there. So it's not actually a perfect protein. It does have all 9 essential acids in it, amino acids, but it also has all these other things attached to it. So an incomplete protein just means that it's missing one or more of those proteins. So it doesn't mean that it's not a good protein and that you shouldn't eat it. It just means that you might need to combine it with something else to make it a complete protein. Now, there are actually, and this was surprising to me, a number of non-meat and dairy foods that are complete proteins, which I thought maybe I might find one, and I was surprised that I found quite a few. So we're going to talk about each one of those. So the very first one is actually an ancient grain, and it's called quinoa. It looks like quinoa, but that's not how you say it. One of the things that I think is so cool about this is that it's been around for so long that this was probably food that Jesus ate. And I don't know why that's like a thing for me, but I just think that's pretty cool. So quinoa has all 9 essential amino acids, and so it is a complete protein in the same as chicken or beef or whatever. So this is an excellent staple that you can have in your diet, and it actually doesn't, it takes on whatever flavor you cook it in, so it's pretty versatile. And I actually have been making my tacos with this. I put taco seasoning in it when I cook it, and I kind of like it that way. So this is a pretty easy thing to add. You can do it cold or hot. You could add a half a cup into a salad, and then you've got all of your complete proteins in there. So quinoa, number one. Number two, which this one was like kind of a weird one to me, and that is nutritional yeast. I don't know how well you can see that. You can see I'm running low because it's pretty popular. So this is just a nutritional yeast, and you can sprinkle it on like your pasta, and it kind of has like a little bit of a cheesy flavor. We actually really like it on our popcorn here at this house. And this actually has a lot of protein in it. I think in 2 tablespoons, you get like half of your daily amount, or maybe not quite that. So it's pretty easy if you're running a little low on protein somewhere, you can just sprinkle some of this on your food and you're good to go. So nutritional yeast, pretty good one. This one was a surprise to me too. Pepitas, which are basically pumpkin seeds. These are a complete amino acid. So they have all 9 in there. So these are great. You can toast them and sprinkle them on pretty much anything and everything. I like them on my sandwiches. I love them in my salad. I like them toasted. I like them not toasted. I'm just a big fan of these. So the next one we're going to talk about is my very least favorite. Stuff is so yucky. I'm trying so hard to love it, but oh, it's a challenge. So tofu and all of its varying forms, so tempeh, all of the things that have soy in them. This is actually a complete protein, so it's a great thing that you can add. I'm really struggling to love this because of the taste and the texture, but I'm getting better. It does soak up some of whatever you're cooking it in, and so I'm not going to try to sell it. I really just don't like this. Sorry. But anyway, it is a complete protein. So there's that. The same as beef or chicken or fish or cottage cheese or whatever else you want to throw at me. The same. So there's also buckwheat, which I don't have any buckwheat. Most people use that in a flour form, and they make like pancakes and stuff with it. And I'm just not a big pancake eater, so I don't have any buckwheat on hand, but that also is a complete protein. So the last thing that I want to talk about, seriously, I was completely surprised about this, and I was kind of like, what? That can't be right. And so I kept doing research and kept doing research, trying to find a place that was like, oh yeah, that's all not true. So mushrooms are not only a complete protein, but the chemical makeup of their peptide, right? Remember the little string we talked about with all the amino acids, is almost identical to animal protein. So much so that like your body couldn't tell the difference. So if you ate a bite of chicken versus a bite of this, your body wouldn't be able to tell chemically what the difference is. That's pretty amazing. So these really are a superfood. They have all 9 essential amino acids, and I mean, gosh, you could just go crazy all the different ways that you could fix them. Later on, we're going to be talking about a stew that I make with portobello mushrooms. That's pretty amazing. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Anyway, so mushrooms in all their varying forms, and there's so many different ways that you can cook them, raw or steamed or sauteed or whatever, but not just a complete protein, but almost exactly like chicken or beef or cottage cheese or any animal protein that you want to throw at me. I can say exactly the same. So there's that. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about is that, okay, so we've listed a handful of foods here, and you're like, so you have to eat every one of those every single day? Well, no. That's just an easy go-to for, oh, I just really need some extra protein, and those are easy things that you can kind of add to it. So when you have an incomplete protein, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be eating it. It just means that you need to partner it with something that will complete that. And there are a number of things out there that are just sort of like no-brainers. One of them, rice and beans. So the amino acids that rice is missing, the beans have, and the amino acids that are missing from beans, the rice has. So these together make a complete protein. I mean, and you can do rice and beans. I mean, endless possibilities with rice and beans, right? And everybody has rice and beans. I'm not going to say everybody likes them because my kids aren't super fond of beans, but we're learning. All right, so this next one I was pretty excited about because everybody loves this. So this is whole wheat bread and peanut butter. And actually, 2 slices of this with 2 servings of peanut butter gives you almost half of your daily, or at least for me anyway, half of my 40 grams. So it's like 18 grams of protein in 2 slices of bread with, I believe it's a tablespoon. I don't have my glasses on. I believe it's a tablespoon is 1 serving. So when you combine these together, so again, whatever this is missing for amino acids, this has, and what this is missing, this has. So the 2 of these together make a complete protein, which is pretty cool. I mean, who doesn't love peanut butter? And you can throw jelly in there and you're good to go. So this next one is actually, I don't know if you can see that. This is pine nut hummus. This is my favorite hummus ever. I like this better than anything else. Garbanzo beans aren't my most favorite, but I actually really like the pine nut hummus. And when you combine that with some pita bread or some naan, which there is some vegan naan. I think it uses ghee, which is like clarified butter in the top, so it makes it not vegan. But there are some brands of organic naan which are vegan. So when you combine these 2 together, you have a complete protein, which is perfect as a snack. If you're feeling kind of hungry in between meals or anything, you could definitely do something like this. So having said that, you don't have to sit down and say, okay, like for every meal, I got to figure like all of this hard stuff out. If you are eating a wide variety of foods on a daily basis and you're just making sure that, you know, you're getting at least some protein somewhere, you're going to pretty much have everything that you need in a day. There are numbers of combinations of foods that you can put together that make a complete protein. I mean, the list is really long and we'd be here all afternoon if I was going to go over all of those with you. So, but this just gives you an idea of the foods that you can eat and where you can get your protein. But one of the things that protein protein does, which I think I talked about earlier, is that it helps you feel fuller and more satisfied after a meal and for a longer time. So if you've gone vegan and you're finding yourself just really hungry, you might need to take a look at how much protein you're getting. You can do that equation, which is your weight times 0.36 to figure out how much protein you're needing in a day. And remember that it's grams, not ounces. The first time I looked at it, I was like 40 ounces, like holy smokes. I'm never gonna be hungry in a day. And it's pretty easy to sit down and figure these things out. And of course, the internet is just a wealth of information in, like what are some, vegan proteins that I can use. But as long as you're getting some of these things in all of your meals, you're going to be fine. Now, if you're just eating a salad every day, you're probably going to be hungry. But you could certainly do something where you've add some quinoa or even some brown rice to your salad. There's just a number of options that you can do. So I hope that this helped answer the question for you of where does that protein come from. I know that protein is really important and it's a valid question. And for me, it was worth digging into because I didn't want to just do the thing where it's like, oh, I just need to eat these foods. For me personally, I just kind of wanted the bigger picture of this and like, we all know what protein is. But on the other hand, I was like, okay, so what is protein exactly? And what exactly does it do? And how does it work? And how do I know how much I need and all of those things? So I hope that this helped answer some of those questions for you today. And if you're on this vegan journey, I just want to say keep at it. It can be challenging sometimes. Next week, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I've done that have helped me to be successful thus far. And it hasn't been overly challenging for me. And I think just having a few things in place can be helpful. So you're going to want to tune in for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my page so you can be getting notified whenever I have a new video. And I'm also excited about something that we're going to start doing. It's going to be called not barking. That's not called barking. So thanks for joining in today. I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye. Blah, 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 blah. Don't you bark. No. No barking. Or you can go ahead and bark. Okay. Bank check.
You want me to hit it?
Hmm?
You want me to hit it?
No, it's already going. It's been going for a long time. All the dogs are barking, and I was trying to get them upstairs, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I think we all know. So this is called a peptide. This little string is actually the peptide, and nope, that's not how that goes.